get started. Welcome to the open mic tonight. But before we begin, I'm going to introduce our featured artist of the evening. I'll let Rob do all the things he's supposed to do. So here we go. By the way, this microphone cord is very short, so you won't have to.
Oh, it's okay. Can y'all hear me okay? Oh, yeah. I'm almost at home, so I'm used to talking in the room and doing like the projection thing. Okay, so if I start lulling, just do this one right here. I'll pay attention and start speaking a little bit louder. For those of y'all who I've not met before, my name is Robert Lee Newman III, and I have the pleasure of being the director and lead curator here at Home to Art. It's more y'all than that. So when I do my intro, I need everybody to clap.
He a little shy. He needs some extras.
My name is Robert Newman. I am the director and curator of the world's largest Black-owned art gallery, privately owned, privately held. This is damn near 7,000 square foot.
That's right.
Yeah. Thank you. And as y'all can see, we have a little bit of a mission to tell stories and to tell them as authentically as possible. As a curator, I have a few responsibilities, but I try to boil it down to a couple of ideas that help me to go to sleep, wake up, and do my job every day. First is about space, right? 3 different types of spaces that I'm always trying to create here. And if this is your second or third time, you've probably heard me say this multiple times. But if it's your first time, it's worth repeating. You're gonna hear me say it again. First and foremost, we try to create safe space. As wild as it may be as a concept to repeat, America is a very tricky place. That's the best way I'll put it. And there's a constant illusion of safety. So one of the things that I have to do here in the space to make art viable, to make creativity a thing that people continue to want to practice and express within, is safety first, I guess. Sounds cheesy, but it is. Safety first. You gotta know that you can create without looking over your shoulder. Secondly, this is where we tend to fall into like woke culture versus actually doing something and being awake. I have a quote in one of my paintings that says that feeling when you actually wake up. The second iteration is brave space. Once you realize you don't have to look over your shoulder anymore, then I challenge folks to do something that they normally may not want to do, or that they may not have had a chance to do otherwise. After we do number 1 and number 2, number 3 is usually safety space. I love having artist talkbacks and panel discussions and all kind of other little art salons, especially on Sundays, because when we think about what we're doing in terms of cultural preservation, storytelling, and community, it is something special. It is something that should be regarded as sacred. We all know about the Cotton Club, the Savoy, all these other amazing cultural institutions that probably made us all want to come to Harlem, move to Harlem, and live here for as many years as we have. Yet where are they, besides our memories? Number 3 is sacred space, because if I think it's precious to me, I may end up doing something that'll last longer than myself. And if it's sacred to y'all as well, I may end up doing something bigger than myself. Today, outside of those 3 responsibilities, because that's a whole world in and of itself, I get to bring the art off the wall. So it's 2D. Today is especially 3D, but I need to make it 4-dimensional. I need y'all to be able to interact with the art. And the easiest way for me to do it is to bring the artist here for y'all to answer questions. So we'll get right into it. I'll only ask a handful of questions and then turn it over to you all to ask a handful of questions. And after that, we'll go straight into our performances for tonight. So, this is Darian and Stewart. We are in America Has a Problem. And before we dive in, tell us about yourself. Where you from? What's your mama name?
So my name is Darian Stewart. I was born and raised in Newport, Arkansas, but moved back and forth between Little Rock and a small town called Hardy. I went to undergrad for fine arts and has a BFA in fine arts and graphic design, and then moved to New York City in 2019 to get an MFA from Parsons, the new school. And then have just been continuing this arts journey. I recently just left a residency on Governor's Island called Art Crawl Harlem. The director is here. And I was able to produce this body of work was guided and helped with producing this body of work that led me into this more vulnerable space to let the viewer in to my world that I've kind of experienced growing up here in America.
Okay. I used to teach, so when I was a teacher, I realized repetition is important. Before we go further, how can we follow you on Instagram? How can we keep up with your current projects and things that you will be doing in the future?
My Instagram hashtag is, our handle is BCIMAN artist. So because I'm an artist, anybody needs it again, everyone.
I'll repeat that one more time.
Like repetition. We like repetition.
BCIM
artist.
Right here.
BCIMAN artist.
And before y'all leave, we have artist statements printed out for you all to take. They're copies, so again, feel free to take them. You all got to take a picture and leave it. Give it to a friend. Help us promote the space and the art. There's also a price sheet here. This is not a museum. This is an art gallery. So the art you see around you is something to aspire to. If you like it, save that money, come back and get it. We'll be right here waiting on you. Tell us about the artwork. What inspired, I don't want to do the easy one, what inspired this artwork? I feel like most people can feel it. How did you choose the images in each piece? There's a lot of, I saw your background, there's some graphic design in there, there's a lot of fashion, and from what I know from your bio, there's a lot of kind of autobiographical elements. But when it came down to actually choosing the images, how did you choose the pictures and the pieces to tell the stories?
So for a lot of it, it was just, there was a lot of research put into the work, like image shuffling through the internet, pulling images from my log in my phone, having my family take pictures of my hometown since I wasn't there, so they would be sending me pictures of like background spaces, houses, and just taking material or the subject matter that really aligned with the compositions I was kind of creating. So the paintings start off as collages on the computer. So I build these collages with found images that I take, and then kind of create these collages to then put onto the canvas. But there's a lot of change throughout. Even like I'll create the composition on the computer, and then when I'm creating it on the actual canvas, there's a lot of change in between the two. So I feel like it's just like for the composition purposes, but then things keep continuing to be added as I create the work.
You actually inspired another question for me. There's as I'm sure you've seen a lot, there's this big, I think, battle between artists and the digital media versus physical media, especially now I don't want to say the emergence of AI, but now the prominence of it, the proficiency of it, and artists almost want to shy away from using technology and want to be more physical. But it sounds, I mean, seeing your pieces and how textured they are, and hearing that you started technology, it seems like there's a, I don't know,
Full circle.
full circle. How do you balance that? Or what advice would you give artists today? I guess even navigating the future of creativity.
I think that studying graphic design really helped me understand like color and then also like design, composition and like layout, like the golden rule while creating. And I've never really went back with it. I always have had digital, like a mix between the two mediums. Even as I was like practicing in undergrad, it always like came together and like worked around each other in a way that I just always had an interest in like how can I like intertwine the two while building my paintings or my work. So I think it's definitely helpful for artists and because even like graphic design changing, like even going back, like after you make the painting, putting it back into the computer and making designs, even with the painting, there's a correlation with the two that can really benefit the work even after it's done. Like taking it back into technology and like creating video, TikToks, reels, and then just going back and forth to kind of like it for the full circle moment. Like starting off with technology, physical technology, like a little cycle.
Okay. I got two more questions and then we'll open it up to the audience. Let's talk more about your bio. A lot of the pieces, again, I mentioned earlier, autobiographical or telling more about the artist. But by show of hands, how many people have been to Arkansas before?
Little Rock.
More people than you expected, right?
Yeah. Out of like 30 people, that was a pretty good percentage. This would almost be like a red room.
Yeah, very rare.
And it begins.
Too soon, sorry. What was it like growing up and maybe in like 2 or 3 points, what are some of the things that you're trying to show us in the art?
Some things that I'm showing in the art, I am talking about like reclaiming space and my identity in the face of racism, based off my experiences that I've been through, empowering to others for the Black community, and then just letting people kind of see the things that the community goes through while America watches in the background. There's constant motifs of that being represented throughout the work of America's eyes, constantly watching this happen to the community. And it's always been there throughout all of my experiences that I've kind of been through. And like it's also been relevant to times, and how I'm speaking on the Olympics, voting, our recent election, educational systems, and everything that's kind of current that are constantly going through that we also witness within not just my experience, but everyone's experience here living in America.
Last question for you. How are you feeling now after the election? This show opened up maybe about 2 months ago?
A month ago.
October
First weekend of October.
Yes. So I asked because this is a series that I imagine you started working on earlier in the year.
It was August 1st. Yeah, I moved in August 1st.
Okay.
I started the residency.
Is this
the last week of July?
this last? How do you feel about selection? I'll leave it there. I'll leave it up to you.
I am a little worried or nervous but hopeful. Just especially coming from Arkansas, and I'll have to navigate New York and Arkansas just because my daughter is back there, my family. It's still very important, like the policies and stuff that happens down there. So I'm very hopeful, and I really am grateful that I have spaces where I can show this body of work, so I can really relate to people and inspire others through the work and really showcase these deeply rooted problems that the community kind of faces, even with everything going on with the election. I definitely still have hope for us.
Sorry, I thought I had that was the last one. This is the last one. It's actually, I think it'll be helpful for everybody. So if I'm somebody that's brand new to art, looking at your pieces, what will be your guidance for me? Like, how would you tell me to view the work? How would you tell me to take it in?
I like to relate them to the find and seek books that we used to look at as children. I really want to like capture the viewer and like just stay looking because you're gonna constantly find something new. There's also a correlation between all the paintings where you'll find like just different motifs that are in repeated, and then in the fence, everything that is on this fence can also be found within one of the paintings. So it's very interactive for the viewer. So.
See, that's good to know.
All right, y'all.
I have a question. I'm too quick. How and why and what's the story? Please give me something about this. This is one of the most interesting pieces I've ever seen in my life. No exaggeration. So just give me an insight to how did you start and then how did it end up? Like what's the lava? What's the
So this painting was the first painting I did right after COVID hit, and it was going through like Black Lives Matter movement, so I was kind of painting about that, paying homage to protesting and Breonna Taylor, and in like the bottom, there's a lot of tributes down like hidden within the city, but also talking about like again like the recurring. I think this constantly comes back to my work, like reclaiming space and empowerment. So like empowering the community, but also referencing like more historical context, so talking about slavery, and then more contemporary context, talking about like Black trans people. And then
the upper area, top right, the mountains. I was trying to figure out how that related to kind of its grainy background, and then the two characters in front. I was trying to figure out why.
So I'm pulling from the south again. So like I'm thinking of landscapes, outdoor scenes, but then also playing with fashion, with like the way this lady's dressed. It may not be more contemporary. It's more like older school. And like just setting up this space that's more like collagey, but it's interior, exterior, like a landscape just for the eye to kind of just move through. So maybe this is like their home, referencing the historical, and then it's like a mesh of just different like realities going on in one image.
Wow.
My question for you is more about this piece in particular, because like you actually put a focal point on yourself in it as well. You have the whole White House in the back, but also to what's interesting is that Black Lives Matter, No Justice, No Peace is all minutia. So I just wanted to understand how you created that and what was the intent behind.
So the intent of this painting was, it was based off my personal experiences that I had. So a lot of it is talking about this racist moment I had when I was 5. In the bottom left, me and my grandma are coming out for Walmart, and we find this letter on the car, and it said, "Get your nigger out of this town." So I'm holding the letter in this painting to kind of like reclaim that and confront that story. It's also talking about me protesting here at the bottom, but then also the idea of America watching in the background is represented through the vignette, the window.
People with the eyes around them?
Yeah, the people with the eyes, talking about January 6th with the Capitol, but also paying homage to my grandmother with the Doves, just because she constantly taught me to keep pushing, and that's feel like where I'm here today in New York. Yeah, the picket fence in relation to the actual physical fence, and like moving the dichotomy of being black and white and moving on both sides, and getting that full 360 perspective of what America kind of pins against each other. And then yeah, HIV awareness, and very personalistic, very vulnerable, talking about just my experiences and what I witness and see and how I'm navigating in this world.
Do you ever have people in your inner circle or your family that don't believe that your art is like an occupation? And if so, how do you cope with it?
I would say when I lived in Arkansas, I did, just because very small-minded, but I just didn't really, I always had people around me that also kept motivating me and inspiring me, so those are kind of the people who I really, I kind of like lean towards, and I always just like constantly believed in myself. Like I just knew that this was my passion, and this is like my dreams was just to always like do art even as like a young child. So I just constantly like believed in myself, and I would just always tell other artists, like, if this is your passion, just run with it and really like push for that, and you never know like what opportunities will be present right in front of you, and if you get no's, just keep going, just because the more no's, you're gonna eventually get yeses. So
A word.
So we'll actually have to end it there, because I want to make sure the performances get underway here soon. But I believe Darian will be here for a little bit longer.
I'll be around
again,
now. So
just because we didn't ask it here doesn't mean you shouldn't ask it. Please make sure to stop there and ask him more about the work. Follow him on Instagram, because I'm an artist.
I have a question for you.
Apparently there's a question for me.
So
that is a loophole.
Yeah.
I like to buy art.
Yeah.
Can I do 2 installments? Possibly 3?
We can work it out. Which is a great segue into the commercial. This is not a museum. This is an art gallery. Every piece of art you buy will keep one crazy person off the street. And one beautiful soul, like telling those stories and continuing to document this human existence, this whole experiment and process that we're going through. So yeah, if you have questions about the art, if you want to take some artwork home, please talk to me. We are here to make our work accessible, and I promise you, there are way more ways than we can make that happen than you think. So, as the old saying goes, closed mouths don't get fed. So yeah, ask me any questions about the art. Try to take some artwork home. Make that again an aspiration. Tell us one more time where we can find you on Instagram.
because I'm an artist, BCA.
Who was paying attention?
I tried to find it earlier. I was like, no.
Yeah, BCIMAN artist.
Perfect. Thank you all for hanging in here with us. We're getting ready to transition to our open mic. I'm getting ready to go back to the bar, so if y'all want something to drink, let me know. And follow us on Instagram at Artfullwalls Gallery. Artfullwalls Gallery. It's a lot of L's. 6 L's in total. A lot of L's. Artful, like Full. Y'all saw how much art it was. Full of life. Full of, energy. Full of smiles. Full of beautiful people. Full of expression. Artfullwalls Gallery on Instagram. With that, I'm done. DJ Henry.
One more time for Rod and Darian. All right, it's time for the music portion. That's what I'm in charge of. So, quick introduction. My name is Anagani Ezekiel Lugak for your graduation.
Ooh, that's full name.
That is my full name.